folks. Well, each year, I have the wonderful opportunity and the honor of being able to give to you kind of the opening address. And what I try to do with this kind of opportunity that I have is to share with you maybe a nugget of an idea or food for thought that might spark your thinking, your additional ponderings as you go about your day-to-day lives after this ceremony comes to a close. Well, this year, as a mom of 2 teenagers that are merging into young adulthood, I have had plenty of situations that have provided me food for thought. I often ponder the challenges and joys of raising children from the "mommy, don't go," the hands around the neck holding you tight stage, to the "go away, mom, I want my privacy" stage. Often, in various circumstances, I have found myself saying to my children, to folks, you do not need to agree in order to accept. Agreeing and accepting are different. Agreement is not always a prerequisite for acceptance. When I have said these words at home, my daughter would look at me out of the corner of her eyes, breathe a heavy sigh, shake her head and say, "Mom's doing that Vista talk again." Well, if this is Vista talk, or it's Helen Bosch talk, or it's mom talk, I don't know. I just know that it's a really important concept that we all would benefit from understanding. So let me say it again. You do not need to agree with someone in order to accept his or her decisions. Agreement and acceptance are different things, and agreement is not a prerequisite for acceptance. Let me explain further. In our lives and in our interactions with each other, it's essential that while we may not agree with the decisions of others, oftentimes we still have an obligation out of respect for that individual to accept his or her decision. So I've reminded my daughter that 2 teenage girls can still be friends with each other even if they disagree about the 3rd girl that sits with them on the bus. Or I have gently urged an employee who is not agreeing with his supervisor to accept the decisions that are being made and trust that they're being made for the greater good of the organization. Or I've discussed with friends how we as members of one society may not agree with the particular lifestyle or culture of another society, but we have an obligation as human to accept that there is more than one way to live a life, that each and every lifestyle can be valued and honored. Yes, I use that concept a lot. Now, wouldn't it be wonderful if we all agreed always with each other? Then there wouldn't be any arguments or fights or wars. Of course we would accept each other's decisions because we would agree with them. It's easy to accept the decisions of others when we agree with those decisions. But most times it's not that easy. Most times it's a little bit more difficult. Most times the actions and decisions of others may be different than what we would choose to do, to think, or to act upon. We may not agree with the decisions that others make, but if their decisions do not put them or others at harm, we should think long and hard as to why we would not accept it. This is easy to say, but it's really hard to do. Humans want others to see things the way that they see them and the way that they do them. Yep, I use the concept a lot. Now, this came into full focus. I gotta tell you a story. This came into full focus for me a couple of weeks ago as I helped my son, Nick, prepare for field training for the Air Force ROTC. Believe me, and Nick, my son, knows this, I can take absolutely no credit for his choice to join the Air Force Officer Training Program at the University of Pittsburgh. In fact, similar to that old sitcom Family Ties with Michael J. Fox, my son could not be more opposite me when it comes to things like the military. But here we were, preparing for 5 weeks of officers training. Nick asked me to help him prepare. He asked me to help him memorize his field training manual that was required for the training. I agreed. We sat side by side, me feeding him questions, and he giving me the answers verbatim to the book. And the more I read, the stronger my impulse was to make some editorial comment. Well, if not a comment, a noise at least, or maybe a roll of the eyes, something. Then I remembered heard those words that have been my mantra to everyone else. You do not need to agree in order to accept. Agreement is different than acceptance. Agreement is not a prerequisite for acceptance. My son had earned the right to have me accept his decision. Did I necessarily wholeheartedly agree? No. But he had moved from child to young adult and had earned the privilege of adulthood, the right to make decisions, whether or not I agreed with them. And the best gift I could give him was the gift of my acceptance. It was not about me. It was about him, his decisions, his actions, his life. Now, I'm going to challenge all of you today to do the very same. Take a look at the graduates that are sitting here before you today. Consider whether they have earned the right to make decisions that you will accept. Whenever possible, challenge yourself to give them the gift of acceptance. Remember that our job as parents, staff, and friends is not to eliminate support from their lives, but to eliminate our control over their lives. If you are not sure if the decision is sound that they're making, then make them accountable. Give them standards for achievement, but do not take away their right to make decisions just because you are afraid or because you do not agree. Now, graduates, there's something in this for you too. Use this gift of trust and acceptance wisely. Remember that you have to earn the right to have your decisions accepted. How you earn it is by proving through your words and actions that you can make good decisions for yourself and by accepting the decisions of the others that are trying to help you. Graduates, as you receive your certificates today and enter the adult world, remember the privileges and responsibilities that you are taking on. I think there is one thing that we all agree upon today, that each of you has achieved so much. And we all wait in happy anticipation for the accomplishments that are in each of your unique and very bright futures. Congratulations and thank you.